Alrighty, folks. One of the things that we are doing inside my school community, one rental at a time, and oh, by the way, you should join, is I'm reaching out to folks that want to do a portfolio review. And a few people have raised their hand and said, hey, come take a look. Let me ask you some questions. So, Harris, hey, thank you for being a part of One Rental at a Time. Thank you for being a part of school. And why don't we introduce you first to the audience?
Sure. My name's Harris. I'm 37 years old. I'm married and have a little 11-month-old sleeping in the other bedroom right now.
Nice.
My wife and I, we manage a small portfolio of 4 rental properties right now.
Nice.
Three of those are short-term rentals, and one of them is a long-term rental.
Okay.
And then we also have a primary residences. So we're dealing with 5 houses. So.
Okay.
We started, first property was a house hack. It was Brookside, if you look on my spreadsheet, and it was 2 houses on 1 lot.
Ooh,
And
love those.
yeah, it was great. And so we bought that in 2020, June 2020, when everyone thought the world was coming to an end. And we ended up making the smaller house a rental, and we made that a long-term rental at first.
Okay.
About a year into the long-term rental, and there's a more to that story too, but a year into that long-term rental, we decided to make it a short-term rental because of our area is well known for hospitality and travel and vacation spot. I live in Charleston, South Carolina.
Got it.
And then we kept that one as a short-term rental, and it's been doing very well ever since. But to that story, it was, story as old as time. You get into an investment property, and about, I don't know, a month into it, a root ball grew up into the side of the house, caused a bunch of rain to funnel into the house and flooded out the apartment, essentially. So I got a nice welcome to the neighborhood.
Oh yeah, it happens.
And had to shell out about 10 to 12 grand to get all that fixed. And yeah, trees had to be removed, roots had to be cut out, and new flooring, road mold remediation. I was fortunate, and what they don't tell you is when you try to trade in a 401k and all that, is you got to start dealing with some attorneys and stuff like that. So it ended up being that they didn't truly disclose all the information in the disclosure about what they had done because this was an ongoing issue apparently. So long story short, we got that fixed. I got paid about half of what it cost back. So I was able to recover some of that. And then in 2021, we purchased we made no purchases in 2021. About a month into our first purchase, we had that flood happen, and then my father-in-law unexpectedly passed away. So we had a lot of personal stuff we had to deal with at that time, and we got through it just fine. So we didn't really do much in 2021 is the short of it. Wish I had, I had the money, I had the time, but we were both kind of just out messing around, newly married couple, just having fun. So any rate, fast forward to 2022, a house across the street about 200 yards away from us came up for sale. And we figured this would be a great more of a starter home to raise a kid. And so we jumped on that, moved into there. And the benefit is it's right across the street from a laundromat, like literally right across the street from a laundromat. So it makes our turns very efficient at our two now Airbnbs in our backyard, essentially. So
that makes sense. So you moved. So when you moved across the street, the other one became a short-term rental, the one you were in.
Correct.
Got it. Okay,
Correct.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, and so those two combined, the last 3 years on average, do between the highest we ever did was 115 in revenue, 115,000 in revenue, and the lowest was last year. It did 95,000 in revenue. So on my spreadsheet, I just put 105 as a placeholder of what those are doing right now. And then after everything's said and done, it's throwing out around 45,000 of true cash flow after all your CapEx, cleanings, pity, all of that stuff. So
all right, so you're getting, roughly speaking, $4,000 a month. $4,000 would be 48. So we're close.
And that perfectly offsets the mortgage at the house we live in, along with all the utilities and, a few other ancillary things like the wife's phone bill and such.
Okay.
So,
All right. Like this story so far?
yeah. So after that, there was 2022, didn't buy any investment properties per se in 2022, just their primary.
Sure.
2023, fast forward, we didn't buy anything in 2023. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that. I wanted to, I just didn't pull the trigger.
Okay.
So, that primed me up for 2024, where we closed on 2 investment properties. The first one we closed on was a long-term rental in a pretty up-and-coming area, probably a D class right now. Hopefully it'll become C in the next 5 years or so.
Okay.
Just south of us. So it's about a 10-minute drive, I guess you could say.
Okay.
It's a 2-bed, 1-bath house that we closed in the a utility closet and added another bathroom. And then, we did pretty heavy electrical replacements and plumbing replacements. It was all cast iron and a lot of stuff that, that just needed to be replaced in order to get really just insurance on it. Cause I've come to learn with those old properties. So, that was the first time we really bought, renovated, and then rented out long-term, and good experience overall. A lot of lessons learned. I probably, I think the purchase price was okay, but I probably over invested in the renovations. A lot of it you kind of needed to do, but we probably could have gotten away without putting that bathroom in there immediately.
Sure.
So, but we got it. And then the other thing I learned about I used DSCR loan for that purchase.
Okay.
And, it got a little tricky because the current rent that the lease showed was $1,200.
Sure.
And I knew it could get way more than that. So that they underwrote, the mortgage company essentially underwrote me at $1,200 a month. So they kind of capped me, on how much I could ask off after the inspection. And then they, I had a 7% interest rate, and that jumped up to 7.5 by the time it was all said and done.
Got it.
So, and then they made it interest only for the first 10 years with a, 30-year amortization. And it'll move out. So, but that one, I'm planning on raising the rents from $1,600 and using the binder strategy that your friend Dion puts forth. Yeah,
I like it. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that one will end up being okay. It's just going to take a little bit more time. But of course, there's a backstory to that one too. 2 months into owning that one, I noticed it in the inspection, but there was no vapor barrier in the crawl space.
Oh.
And so I got a nice surprise of floors buckling.
Sure.
And to remediate that was about $10,000 or $11,000 because I had to encapsulate the crawl space because there was no ventilation.
Yeah.
And then fix the buckled floorboards, which is about $1,000. So, always something.
Always something. Yep. Okay.
Okay. And then the the second property we purchased that year, shortly after reading your book, actually, One Rental at a Time. And it was a 5-bedroom, 4-bath house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, about 10 minutes away.
Okay.
And it was previously being run as an Airbnb.
Okay.
And so they had all their financials for it. So I was able to, given my experience with the market here, I understood what it could potentially do. So they were advertising that it did $89,000 in revenue. And so I figured, okay, that will cash flow, that'll do very well given a 7.5% mortgage and all that. So we decided to pull the trigger, 20% down on that one, and DSCR loan product. Found another lender that was a lot easier to work with. So there's a lesson learned from the 2 investment purchases. I found a lender it was a better fit for me. Cool. And they didn't hammer me with any long seasoning periods or refinance. If you want to refinance, it's going to take a year, not 3 years.
Got it.
So, I'm a little bit hamstrung on the 2005 the Grayson Street property, because it's 3-year penalty.
Prepay. Yeah.
Prepay, yeah.
Is it a 3-2-1?
What do you mean by that?
So usually prepayment penalties, they call them cascading. So if you want to refine the first year, it costs you 3%. You want to refine the second year, it costs you 2%. And if you want to refine the third year, it costs you 1%.
Yeah, I think it's 3-2-1 then. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So
okay.
any rate, so fast forward to today. And a little bit more backstory about myself. I work offshore. I'm an offshore worker, and I spend about 6 months out of the year away from the house. And it hasn't been until the last 2 years that we've gotten internet good enough to really research properties. And so we got Starlink. Thank you, Elon Musk. And it's made it a lot easier for me to at least just observe what's going on in my market.
I like it.
Yep. So now we're kind of at a bit of an impasse here, because I don't think we can handle any more short-term rentals. It's just very management intensive operation. Sure. And so we wanted to go more in towards the long-term rental side. And so I've been trying to build out my buy box. I've anything from 4-unit compounds to duplexes, smaller, multifamily. The problem with them in my area is they fetch the same asking price, not purchase price, but asking price as you would if you just bought 4 single family homes,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So, not quite. There's a little bit of a discount, but I mean, the rents would be significantly less. So, I've been, building out a buy box, and there's a few properties that I have set out in the next couple months to start asking on, and disrespectful offers and all of that. So
I like it.
I don't think my market's quite there yet. I think it's still pretty hot. Things.
Yeah, I talked to Lance. Inventory's building pretty much everywhere.
I'm sorry. There's a pause in the internet.
I was saying inventory is building everywhere, but South Carolina still might be a seller's market, not a buyer's market.
Yes, very much so. So it is building, and things are sitting on market a little bit longer, but you're not seeing 10% reductions or 20% reductions. You'll see 5.
Yeah. So let me ask you some basic questions. So, for example, what is a good condition fourplex? What's the asking price on a fourplex?
I just looked at one that was brand new, just renovated. Excuse me, not brand new, but it was just renovated, and they're asking $850,000.
And then what would a B class neighborhood just house, like a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house?
So the neighborhood I'm looking at, Wayland, it's it's probably more C class than B class, but so is this quadplex. It's pretty C class.
So equal. Okay.
Equal. Yeah, equal in class, but it was probably you can get anywhere from $225,000 to $260,000. A decently modernized 3-bedroom, 1-bath.
And the last thing to ask is, I'm guessing there's a lot more houses than fourplexes available.
A ton. Yeah.
So I got to tell you, knowing very little about the market, is I would write super disrespectful offers on houses. Houses are going to rent more. Houses don't. Again, I own them both today. If the top line numbers are roughly the same, which the numbers you just told me, they're roughly 4 individual houses, a fourplex, about the same price point. Here's the facts: single family homes, everything else being equal, will have less turnover. My fourplexes turnover, I think the average tenant's 3 years. My average tenant in a house is 8 years. Also, let's not forget, single family home rents with a backyard and a parking is going to rent for more than this. Yeah. So if you're paying the same price but getting a higher rent with lower expenses, you're a fool to look at fourplex.
Right. Yeah. And frankly, that's kind of where I've been leaning, but I was trying to do something different, and it sounds like I probably shouldn't. I've been having great success with single families, and I just keep doing it,
Yeah, and again, if the other thing that, again, it's in your favor right now is just the inventory. I think there's more and more people looking to sell homes than fourplexes. Let's be very clear. A fourplex is super sexy today because of house hacking.
Right.
right? There's a lot of people looking for 3.5% down, 5% owner rock money. They're going to live there a year. And that's why fourplexes are priced so stupid. There's no way those price points should be the same. But the fact is today they are. So don't fight a battle, right? You're an investor. You got to come in with 25% down. One of these house hackers are going to come in with 5%.
Sure.
They're going to win. So I would just get super aggressive on houses and buy better conditioned house. And, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
That sounds right to me. All right. Well, I guess this is more of a confidence check, and I do appreciate the input. So thank you.
Yeah, very cool. So I'm just curious, you got any other questions for me? It sounds like you read my book. You're in school. I got a couple more minutes if you have a question or two.
I think, that's basically, I was just looking for some pointers and advice, and
Okay.
I think you really answered all my questions. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to sit down with me.
Very cool, Harris. Well, thank you for being a part of school. This will be uploaded in the next couple of days. Take care. Have a great week.
All right. Take care.
All right. Later.